Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on my video. In a recent video, I showed you why, if you haven't already, you should be using Invention machines now in Runescape. In that video, however, I skipped over auto-disassemblers in our discussion, because they are a bit more complicated than the other machines, and I felt would have bloated the length of the video. In this video, we are going to look at auto-disassemblers in detail, and see if they should be placed into your machine layout. I'm not going to cover the basics of Invention machines in this video, as we already did that in my previous one. So if you need those details, I will link that video in the description. In any case, let's jump right in. There are two versions of the auto-disassembler. The Tier 1 disassembler requires 60 invention and uses 30 machine power, whereas the Tier 2 disassembler requires 81 invention and uses 40 machine power. Both versions have the same function, in that they take in input items and disassemble them passively to produce invention materials. To make profits, we will take those invention materials and create final products out of them using the invention skill. The Tier 1 disassembler processes 35 items per hour at the cost of 180 machine charge, and the Tier 2 disassembler processes 60 items per hour at the cost of 230 machine charge. At the time of writing the script, I was able to buy a Divine Charge at a cost of 115,000 GP, meaning each disassemble cost about 199 GP for the Tier 1 disassembler and 148 GP for the Tier 2 disassembler. When looking to make profit using disassemblers, we need to find a final product who can be made from input items that are cheap enough to give us a good profit. Let's find a final product then that is viable. The easiest way I think to do this is to list all the possible final products we can create using invention materials, which can be sold on the Grand Exchange, as well as the invention materials used to create them. Here we are looking at a set of trees which describes just that. Let's now prune our trees down to a subset of viable final products. We can immediately eliminate a subset of these options due to low trade volume of the final products, or inability to buy the input items off the Grand Exchange. Now we can chop off suboptimal branches that connect to the same invention material. For example, Divine Charges are a preferable usage of simple parts compared to equipment siphons, liquid patch bombs are a preferable usage of living components compared to mechanized chinchampas, equipment dissolvers are a preferable usage of organic parts over gizmo dissolvers and herb protectors, equipment dissolvers are a preferable usage of clear parts over crystal tool siphons, and whetstones are a preferable usage of base parts over all three accumulators, as well as augmenters. These decisions are made based on the additional required invention materials when comparing final products, which share at least one material in their production. Keep in mind, these decisions were made using current Grand Exchange prices that I was able to buy and sell these final products for. So, how you prune your tree could change in the future. What we are left with then is a much smaller subset of possibly viable final products to create using the invention materials from our disassemblers. Note that, except for the crates, none of the remaining final products share invention materials. At this point, I think it is worthwhile to take an aside and talk about how disassembly works in Runescape. See, each item gives a different number of materials. Some give one, and others give many more. For each material that an item gives, the material you are given is divided by two steps. First, there is a junk chance roll, which determines if the given material is junk. Each item has a different junk chance, and the junk chance can be reduced as your invention level goes up. If the given material fails the junk roll, then a secondary roll is done to determine the actual material you get, which is determined by the raw chances of each possible material. There are also special materials, which can be obtained from certain items, and are rolled entirely separately, and additionally to the normal material rolls. Let's look at Quintessence as an example. Quintessence give one material per disassemble, but also has a special material that can be gained for each disassembly. Quintessence has a base junk chance of 1%, and a distribution of chances of materials of 85% for magic parts, 13% for crafted parts, and 2% for powerful components. The special materials are historic components at 16% and classic components at 4%. With these probabilities, the expected materials for each disassemble would be 0.16 historic components, 0.04 classic components, 0.01 junk, 0.8415 magic parts, 0.1287 crafted parts, and 0.0198 powerful components. So our goal then is going to be to find a final product that maximizes our profits. What this boils down to, though, is finding good input items that disassemble into the necessary invention materials at a good price. I have gone ahead and found what I believe are good representatives of close to optimal input items for all of the remaining invention materials. Note that these numbers are based on a Tier 2 disassembler and a maximum junk chance reduction. If you want to get simple parts, mahogany logs are a good candidate. If you want to get magic parts, fire talismans seem like a good candidate. If you want living components or organic parts, desert souls seem like the most cost efficient. Clear or delicate parts can be gained from fire orbs. Crafted parts can be gained with black salamanders. Deflecting parts can be gained with small plated mithril salvage. Base parts, cover parts, and protective components can all be gotten from hard leather shields. Padded parts can be gotten from blue dragonhide chaps. Classic components and historic components can be gotten from soapstone. For all of these items I have listed, I have calculated the materials per disassemble, the cost per disassemble, and then the cost per material. With the cost per material in hand, we can then calculate the profit of producing each of the remaining final products in our trees, which are given in the following table. The first column in this table shows you the final product that you might be interested in producing. The second column shows you the cost of producing that item. The third column shows the sale price of that item that I was able to get on the Grand Exchange at the time of writing this script. And the final column shows you the profit for producing that item. It seems then that we have two viable options for generating profits using our disassemblers. I'm personally hesitant to suggest whetstones as a viable final product because I don't suspect the sale price would be supported if we produced them en masse. So we have reduced our options to making divine charges. Luckily for us, though, we can make more than one final product when generating divine charges. See, mahogany logs can also produce living components in addition to the simple parts, which are an ingredient for liquid patch bombs. So it seems an optimal strategy would be to produce both divine charges and liquid patch bombs. These final products require 101 and 104 invention, respectively. So to make a clear distinction here, I think I can say for sure that disassemblers are not worth using prior to level 101 invention at least. And this is based on current Grand Exchange prices. It could be the case in the future that if you check things out yourself, the margins have shifted around a little bit. But as I write this now, I would not recommend disassemblers prior to level 101 invention. So let's now calculate the weekly profits for all setups from 101 invention and higher. If we can make both divine charges and liquid patch bombs, we will do so using mahogany logs and fire talismans. And if we cannot make both, we will exclusively make divine charges. In this table, in the leftmost column, we can see your invention level. For your usage, you should find the row that you have a greater than or equal to invention level of. The second column shows you the current generator that you are using in your workshop. The third column shows you if you have the Fort 4 and 3 Tier 3 workshop power bonus. The fourth column shows you your total power allotment. The fifth column shows you the optimal machine layout if you're just using auto-disassemblers. The sixth column shows you your junk chance reduction based on your invention level. The seventh column shows you the input items that you would be using to produce the final products. The eighth column shows you the final products that you would be selling on the Grand Exchange. And the final column shows you the expected GP per week that you could get using these setups. If you compare this table to the similar one we generated when discussing the other invention machines in my other video, you might quickly come to the same conclusion as me. Disassemblers, I would say, are not worth using if your goal is to buy items off of the exchange and disassemble them for profit. It may be the case that some of you watching have cracked the code and found a far more optimal setup for disassemblers. In fact, some people have commented on my previous invention machine video saying that they can make 60 million GP per week. If you have found this, I'm super happy for you. I, however, cannot seem to get these machines to work in a more optimal way compared to the other invention machines, and with the substantially more complex nature of using them, I would personally stay away. This isn't to say that disassemblers are useless in general, though, because they can massively reduce the time required to disassemble a large number of items. It's just that they don't serve the money-making role as well as their machine peers when you compare them one-to-one. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like the video and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment, as it helps me out a lot. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day.